Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. That's right, I homeschool. I'm Mrs. T, and today we're going to be doing our 2023 reading wrap-up and book recommendations from my toddler and my preschooler. So let's go ahead and get into it. We have a lot of content to cover. All right, so this past year, we have always really been a big reading family. We read books every day, we read books every night before bed, and we listen to audiobooks as part of our nighttime routine. And it has been going really well, but since homeschooling, we have ramped up the amount of books that we are reading. Mostly it is because we've been going to the library a lot more, and I have kind of let my kids have the free, it's like a free-for-all. Whenever we go to the library, we fill up a reusable grocery bag, and if they can fit it in it, we will get it out. And usually I'll pick a couple of books that are kind of aligning with our curriculum that we're trying to tackle or topics, but mostly it is driven by them. I use Goodreads to track the books that we read, and I track it once. So I don't track every single time that we pick up a picture book, but I do like to know the books that we read and kind of see the trends. So I have the total of new books that we've read this past year. And it might not be everything because there are times where we read when we're at the library. I forget to write them down. So, but it's most of them. It's safe to assume that we have a lot. Okay, so we're gonna start with picture books. We read 742 new picture books this past year, which is just crazy. We've had a lot of picture book time. My kids love to look at picture books on their own, and it's such a good bonding experience, you guys. We love reading. So in preparation for this video, I pulled aside the books that my children have picked that we own, that they have asked for to be read to over and over and over again. I can't even tell you how many times we've read all of these books, but I wanted to share them with you. In no particular order, these are some of our favorite family books, picture books from 2023. So we have Don't Tickle the Lion. This is an Usborne book. That's a sound book. We have a book collection of nursery fairy tales from Mary Englebright. This one is their favorite, one of their just absolute favorites. We've read almost every single one of these. I can't even tell you how many times. All of them. Repeats. Okay, this one is part of a book series from Usborne, or I don't remember, Kane Miller Publishing. This is Dragon Post, but we've also read the Santa Post book a lot. It's a very similar concept. This is a book about a little boy who gets a dragon, and there are interactive letters in here, and my kids love both of those books. We love The Mitten by Jan Brett. This one, you guys, oh my goodness, Night Owl. We bought this one a little over a year ago. It's been a year and a half, and we have read it so many times. My kids just adore this book, and the illustrations are so cute, it's so sweet, and it's a fast read, which is nice. Digger Soars, well loved. Okay, so this one we just added to our collection with Christmas. We got it from thrift books, but we got this so many times from the library, and that's the Croaky Pokey. We love the Croaky Pokey. Okay, next one here is The Fabulous Lost and Found. This is a book that's mostly in English, but it has French vocabulary infused in it, and my kids really like this one. Okay, the next two books are from a little book series. We love Nibbles. We have the bigger page book Nibbles variation, just the original Nibbles. We just got the bedtime one for Christmas, but these two have been their favorite for the past year. So this has been Nibbles Numbers, and this is Nibbles Colors, and they basically just learn their basic colors and basic numbers with Nibbles the monster eating them up. This is another recent addition through Christmas, but we got it from the library a number of times, and we read it a number of times after we found it, and that is Naked. We have Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. This is a classic, and we love to sing it, and this is a favorite. Oh my goodness, you guys, Slinky Malinky Early Bird. We have a number of Slinky Malinky books. which are all about cats. And then they also have Harry McClary, who's a dog, and they have a number of different characters in it, but this one is our favorite. Highly recommend it. If you guys all have cats, or if your kids love cats, this is a book worth buying. Definitely, it's hilarious. Speaking of cats, this is one of my toddler's favorite books. He pulls it out all the time. This is an interactive book. We have used the heck out of it. Just about cats, and they love the interaction that you get throughout the book. Oh my goodness, the little mouse, the red ripe strawberry, and the big hungry bear. This one, so cute. If you have not read this book, pick it up from the library. It's adorable. It tells the story of this little mouse that you, as the narrator, the reader, are interacting with directly. You find a mouse that's picking a strawberry, and you trick him into giving you half of it. Hey, Dr. Seuss, we love a lot of Dr. Seuss books, but I decided to pick up our two top ones, which are The Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham. The Three Billy Goats Gruff, this edition of it in particular is a favorite, but if you are reading it, you have to do a troll voice. Just saying. You need to practice on your voice skills. All right, we have a number of these big books, of beginner books, and the purple one here is our favorite. We have read every single book in here countless times. My toddler's favorite is Fred and Ted Goes Camping. We have read that one literally every single night for multiple months now. We have a number of them, but this is their favorite of this series. All right, we also just recently bought this book, but I want to use this one to show three of their favorite beginning Berenstain Bear books. So they love Bears in the Night, they love Spooky Old Tree, and then recently they've really gotten into the bike lesson. But Bears in the Night and Spooky Old Tree we have as standalone as well, and we've read it so many times in the past year, and even before then, those have been like default favorites. All right, this book takes a little bit longer to read, but we read it quite a lot, and that is How I Met My Monster. This tells the story of a little boy named Ethan who gets a monster who goes underneath his bed. But what my kids really like about this is he is afraid, but he likes being afraid, which is kind of something that my kids can sometimes relate to. Well, one of my kids, and I think the other one gets a kick out of the idea of being thrilled by being scared. Okay, only a few more here. This book here, What Should Danny Do, is a huge favorite. This is a choose your own adventure. We just got the other two in the series for Christmas, but this has been amazing because it tells a story about Danny, who is having a hard time making good choices, or let me rephrase it. He needs your help to make choices. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And when my kids are feeling really frustrated because they feel like they don't have control, this book sometimes will ask them, do you want to make some choices for Danny? Maybe that will help. And it really does help. They love the Danny book. My gosh, my pile is falling over. All right, the next one that we have is another book that we love singing along to, and that's Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Next, If You Happen to Have a Dinosaur. This one is really cool. My children really like the art style of this one. It just tells the story of like what you could use a dinosaur for if they were still around in very silly ways. It's not a serious sort of book at all, but they're very cute and my kids love it. And they like to think of what they would do with the dinosaur. All right, we have 3 books with this next one. These are the If You Give series. These are the 3 that we have at home that we've read a lot. So If You Give a Pig a Pancake, we have the If You Give a Moose a Muffin, and then the classic If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. We've read them a lot. And the last book that I have on here to recommend that my kids just absolutely adore is the Wide-Mouthed Frog. This is a pop-up book where the animals come off the page, and it tells the story of a wide-mouthed frog who's basically interviewing different animals to see what they eat, only to come across a predator at the end. So that's a good one. All right, let's go ahead and shift from picture books over to, we'll do our read aloud chapter books. Now I use the word chapter pretty loosely because, well, they all have chapters, but some of them are very small and very quick reads. So total, you guys, we read through 29 chapter books. Again, a lot of them are very small. Some of our favorites, though, we definitely have favorites. I'm gonna share the first one that we got actually from the library. It's the full Thomas the Tank collection, and we really loved those. We actually ended up purchasing these books in like a small form, but my preschooler asked if we could get the book again, like as a collection, because it's easier to read than those small books. So we might have a birthday gift planned out for his next birthday. All right, in no particular order outside of that one, we have The Last of the Really Great Wang Doodles by Julie Andrews. This one was actually probably the biggest book that we went through, and it took us a little while. But my kids were so into this book, and we read it at nap time for my toddler. So as he was getting down into his nap, preschooler and I read out loud. I read out loud, preschooler listened, and then we usually read like a chapter at a time. And that one he was really engaged in. All right, next one that he was really engaged in is Pumpkin, Ginger, and Spice. This is an older book that I got from a library sale. You can see the font is a little bit larger. It just tells a bunch of adventures of three little dogs named Pumpkin, Ginger, and Spice, who are owned by a bakery owner, and they're just cute and wholesome and sweet, and my toddler and preschooler loved Pumpkin, Ginger, and Spice. We have the Magic Tree House series. The dinosaur one in particular was one of his favorites, but we ended up reading 3 of them this past year. We did the dinosaur, the knights, and the mummies at the end of the year, and he did really enjoy them. He talked about Jack and Annie quite a lot, and we did pair these with the nonfiction companion books as well as the graphic novels, and the graphic novels were okay. He enjoyed them, but they weren't his favorite. We probably won't continue those this upcoming year, but he did really like the nonfiction. So we started reading nonfiction at snack time, and that was a really good mix. All right, we read 13 books in the Dragon Masters series. These are really small, very quick, and they're filled with illustrations throughout the book. This is just the first one here. I'm actually going to do a video that's reviewing this whole series because we will be finishing it this year for sure. My kids love it. It's a little bit twaddle-y. It's not like the best books, but my kids love them. They get really engaged in them, and I have no problem with us getting into literature. I don't care what type of literature it is, honestly. All right, and then the last one that they absolutely adored. We read this 3 times last year, and that's The Frog and Toad Treasury. I picked it up for them the first time, and then they asked for it throughout the year, and so this is a classic for a reason. There's a reason that this one too, it's called out by so many different curricula options out there, like Ambleside, I think, Blossom and Root. There are so many that call out Frog and Toad, and I definitely see why. Okay, so we did 29 total, so I'm just going to go ahead and share with you some of the other titles that we read. So we did, in addition to those, we did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe as a read aloud. We did another of the Arnold Lobel treasuries as well, but we just did that one once. We read the latest Princess in Black book, which I think was Prince in Pink. We read the first Boxcar Children book, and then, yeah, that was it, actually. Yes, because we also did the research guides and the graphic novels, which I'm including graphic novels here. Excuse me, I'm including those graphic novels as well. Okay, last bit of our reading is we do audiobooks. So at the beginning of the year, we listened to audiobooks at night with as a family, but they were definitely more books that were geared toward my husband and I and what our interests were, because our kids would fall asleep in a snap. So we read, or we listened to Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and then the first 2 books in the Earthsea cycle, which is The Wizard of Earthsea and The Tombs of Atuan. Now, these 3 books are definitely adult books. They're not children books. And it was during the Tombs of Atuan that we realized that my preschooler was actually starting to get pretty engaged. So we really shifted how we were doing our audiobooks, and we did them more toward educational and things that were more his age level. So educational, again, this was kind of my husband and I were interested, but we did the first 2 What If books by, I think, Randall Munroe. I think there were only 2 in that series, but we really liked that. Oh, we also did the how-to book, but I don't remember if we did that as the family or if I did that myself. I think we just did the What If. But those were really enjoyable. They were fast and they were really engaging. And I didn't think that they were inappropriate. They were mostly filled with science. He didn't use any bad language or anything like that. So that was great. Another one that we did that was kind of on the cusp of what would be considered a preschool book, probably not a preschool book, is All Creatures Great and Small. It's a beautiful book by James Herriot. We love this book. We've done the audio, or we've read it out loud to them, and now we're doing the audio. But one thing to keep in note with this one is there is some language, olden language, but still language, and they do describe things like cows giving birth and things like that in pretty great detail. Now, it didn't bother us at all, and we listened to the whole thing. We really enjoyed it. We are looking to do actually the next one, but just kind of be aware. It's not exactly like a wholesome kids book. It is definitely meant for an older audience. Okay, we did bedtime stories for kids. Now, my preschooler and toddler loved this book, and my husband and I despised this book. We were so glad when it was done, and my kids were so disappointed. It was just, it was so poorly written. It was just awful. But for whatever reason, my kids really loved, I don't know if it was the narrator or I don't even know, but they really were engaged and were often, this kind of started their whole like staying awake through the audiobook, trying to hear what was happening. And yeah, they were awful. I did not like it, but my kids loved this one. We read the first Mrs. Piggle or listened to the first Mrs. Piggle Wiggle book. That one was a favorite. And then the last one that we did of the year was Winnie the Pooh. And that one, out of all of the audiobooks, Winnie the Pooh was hands down, as a family, all of us, it was our favorite. We really, really enjoyed it. We listened to, I will actually link it down below. We did the one that's included with Spotify Premium, and that was really great. So yeah, those are all the books that we finished. We are currently in the middle of another book. We have been now for a handful of weeks. So we've been working on it for quite some time in 2023, but I'll be talking about that one in our 2024 reading wrap-up videos. That is it, you guys. How'd you guys do with reading? Was reading something that you really prioritized as a family? What were some of your favorites? Comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. I have a lot of reading specific, but also homeschooling content planned and coming out. Thank you, everyone. You have a good one. Bye-bye.